2.12, Using the Principles Together, Part 1, Solving Linear Equations Using Both Addition and Multiplication Principles. Here's a couple examples. What's happening here is we have 12x equals negative x plus 26, or the opposite of x. And whenever you're solving linear equations, meaning your highest exponent is 1, you have to have only one variable. You can't have a variable on the left side and a variable on the right side. So you have to get rid of one of them. So how are we going to get rid of a negative x? So the opposite of a negative x is a positive x. So we're going to add positive x to this side and positive x to this side, because whatever you do to one side, you have to do the same thing to the other. So negative x added to positive x is just going to cancel out to give you 0. And remember, there's an understood 1 there. So if you like, you could think of it as a negative 1x plus a positive 1x, which will cancel to give you 0. And then 12x plus 1x is going to give us 13x's. And then bring down your 26. And then how do you undo multiplying by 13? To undo multiplying by 13, we're going to divide by 13 to both sides to get 2. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do a check on this. Anytime you do a check, please write the word check and put a box around it or underline it so you know you're not solving, you're checking. So you just write down the original problem, and then you're going to take the solution that you have and plug it in. So we'll plug it in here for this x, and we'll plug it in for this x. And then for 2 to be a solution, the left side has to be equal to the right side. So we have to get the same number on the left side and the same as we get on the right side. So also when I'm doing checks, I like to say, well, am I going to get the same thing over here as I do here? So I'm putting a question mark. 12 times 24, or excuse me, 12 times 2 gives us 24. Is that going to give us the same result as a negative 2 plus 26? Well, a negative 2 plus 26 is 24. So it does check out. This side is the same as this side. It's a true statement. Therefore, this is the correct solution. All right, for example 2, we have 5y subtract 9 equals 8y. So again, what's happening here is we have a variable of y on this side and variable of y on this side. So we need to get rid of one of them. So the opposite of a positive 5y is we could add a negative 5y or just subtract 5y. We'll get the same result. So if we subtract by 5y here, we have to subtract 5y here. 5y minus 5y gives us 0. Make sure these are opposite signs. There's an understood plus sign there. Anytime you don't see a sign, it's understood to be positive. So positive 5 minus 5 give you 0. We don't want to get a 10 there. That's important. Pay attention to your signs. And then 8y minus 5y gives us 3y. And then just carry down or copy paste the negative 9. And then how do we undo multiplying by 3? We're going to divide by 3 to this side, divide by 3 to this side to get negative 9 divided by 3 gives us negative 3. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this one here. So again, we have a y on this side, a y on this side. We have to get rid of one of them. To solve linear equations, you can only have your variable on one side when it's solved. You don't see a y next to the 2, or excuse me, an x next to the 2. You just see the x on the left side. So here, to undo subtracting 3y, we're going to add 3y to both sides. And then again, whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other side. That's your addition principle. And negative 6y plus 3y gives us a negative 3y. And also another important thing, whenever you're solving linear equations, always undo the adding and subtracting first. It's kind of like reverse PEMDAS, reverse order of operations. Instead of doing addition, subtraction last, that's what you're going to undo first. So here we have negative 3y plus 4 equals 16. So we're not going to start undoing the negative, multiplying by the negative 3. We're going to undo the adding and subtracting first. So to undo adding 4, we will subtract 4. And what you do to one side, you have to do the other. And again, make sure that these are opposite in signs and you're not getting 8. So we have negative 3y equals 12. And then to undo multiplying by negative 3, we'll just divide by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. And also another thing, pay attention to your fraction bar. This is a fraction bar. We're dividing, not subtracting. So up here, this is our subtraction sign, and here's our division bar. So please make sure you're paying attention to the difference. A negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, not 0. That's important. So we have 1y, and that's the only number you can have next to your variable for it to be solved. And then 12 divided, remember this means divide, divided by negative 3 gives us a negative 4. And again, you don't need the 1 there. So our final answer is negative 4. Okay, so let's look at this one here. We have negative 11a plus 190 equals 8a. So what we're going to do is, again, we have a variable on the left side and a variable on the right side, so we need to get rid of one of them. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of the 8a, so we'll just, the opposite of a positive 8a is a negative 8a, so just subtract that to both sides. 8a minus 8a gives us 0. And then we have negative 11a minus 8a is negative 19a plus 190. Now, if you do not put the 0 here, you've changed an equation into an expression, and that's not okay. So you do have to write the 0 there, or it's incorrect. So 8a minus 8a is 0, and so we'll have negative 19a plus 190 equals 0. And then how do we undo adding 190? The opposite of adding 190 is subtracting. So we'll subtract 190 to both sides, or you could say you're adding a negative 190 and we'll get the same result. 190 minus 190 is 0. And again, we're subtracting, not dividing. That's important. We always do our adding and subtracting first, and then our division at very last. 0 add to negative 190 is just negative 190. And then how do we undo multiplying by negative 19? Well, we're just going to divide by negative 19. And what you do one side, you must do the other side. Now again, this is dividing, not subtracting. So a negative 19 divided by negative 19 is 1, not 0. So we get 1a equals negative 190 divided by negative 19 is positive 10. All right, we have one more to do, so let's kind of scroll up here. All right, before we can do this, we have to do simplifying. So we can't start undoing anything until the simplifying is all taken care of. To simplify, first we have to distribute this negative 4. So negative 4 times a gives us negative 4a. Negative 4 times negative 3 gives us a positive 12. Make sure you attach that subtraction sign to the number to the right. And so negative 4 times negative 3 gives us positive 12. You should have a plus 12 here. If not, it's incorrect. And then just copy paste your negative 7, your equal sign, and the 25. Okay, 12 and negative 7, those are like terms. They're just regular numbers. 12 minus 7 is going to give us a 5. And then we'll come over here, negative 4a plus 5 equals 25. And again, now we can solve it because we're done simplifying. And what I was going to say is that whenever you start the undoing process to solve, you always undo adding and subtracting first. So we're going to undo adding 5 by subtracting 5 to both sides. And then at the very end, we will go ahead and divide. So how do we undo multiplying by negative 4? We divide by negative 4. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. And again, remember, we're dividing here, not subtracting. So negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1. times a, and positive 20 divided by negative 4 is -5. So we have a equals -5.